When you're buying your first diagnostic tool, the hardest part is finding the middle ground. You don't want to buy something too basic that is basically a glorified code reader, but at the same time you don't need something that you need a degree in information technology to use. In this video, we're going to walk through everything that you need to consider when purchasing your first diagnostic tool. Before you buy your first tool, you should be clear on what a diagnostic system should do for you. What's the point in a diagnostic tool then? It's to help you guide to a functional fix of a vehicle. And what do you need to guide you to that functional fix? Well, to be perfectly honest with you, it's not necessarily a fault code. What you really need is a functional tool that will give you accurate live data, some comparative data, and work your way through to a fault. There's also a lot of scenarios within that which you need to understand. So, a fault code is just a signpost to a fault. Generally, a fault can be spotted by looking at the live data and seeing what the comparison should be and what's happening. So, for example, if you see a sensor voltage that's reading -5, clearly there's probably something wrong with that sensor. That will usually correlate to a fault code. But the scenario we always give in training is that if you have a lambda fault code, it's probably not a lambda fault code. It's probably an air leak or the cam belt's being put on wrong or something like that. So you have to still have an understanding of vehicles to be able to use a tool. When you look at the tools that are currently on the market, what you have to understand is those tools have all been reverse engineered from an OEM tool. And to do that, it depends on the depth and width of the engineering that's being carried out on that tool. The other thing that people have to bear in mind is gateways these days. So vehicles have gateways that needs to be unlocked, and many of the tools that are out there in the market, when you go particularly into the lower price section, don't have that gateway unlock facility and actually will lead you up the garden path with that one. They'll say they've unlocked the gateway, they'll tell you it's a particular vehicle, but it won't be. We've actually already filmed a video on security gateway and gateway access, so if you want to know more information, click here. The other thing you've got to realise is that speed is not everything. The faster the tool, not necessarily the better the tool. What you need is a tool that's consistent, that gives you the right chassis number, the right chassis codes, and actually then decrypts it and gives you the right information for that vehicle. So the example I give you on that is we've had many dealer diagnostic tools in the past which will give you an exact ECU match number. Then you've gone in with an aftermarket tool and actually it's given you the wrong ECU. It's even given you the wrong ECU type. They are a lot better these days. You need accuracy to work with those vehicles. The first thing we're going to say about this is choose your tool very carefully. Have a look at what the parameters are. Have a look at what the reviews are, and definitely speak to people who've already got those tools. There's a lot of tools out on the market there, and pretty much very difficult to tell one apart. So we can guide you through that process and tell you what the differences really are between them all. For me, the non-negotiables are affordable gateway access for as many European manufacturers particularly as you can. Secondly, to have access to decent live data, to have access to servicing information if possible on the tool as well, to have access to be able to actually do some adaptations and basic resets such as EGR valves, DPF regeneration and resetting service data. These are absolutely crucial for the everyday workshop to run through. So you see a lot of tools that are too good to be true on the market. You see them advertised on Facebook, etc., and a lot of them have got really patchy coverage and are really limited to the functionality of a couple of vehicles, to be honest. When you see something that's £1,000, you might buy the tool, it might promise this, and it might say, oh, it's got gateway access for all this. You get into the tool and suddenly you have to buy the gateway access every single time. For a real aftermarket tool to work, what you're actually going to do is register on a portal and you're going to have all the gateway access there in front of you, already paid for and already working. What you want to do then is have a look, have some discussions with people around what they've used and what tools they've used and how happy they are with the tool. If someone that says the tool is fantastic, great, always say, but what have you actually done with that tool? If they've read and cleared code, they haven't done any serious diagnostics, resets or whatever, the chances are they're not using the tool to its full capacity, or the tool will not do that. Avoid things like it does pass through as well on the tool. Now, we've done tons of videos about pass through, which you can look through the previous library. Pass through means nothing, and to be honest with you, we don't recommend that you use a VCI from an aftermarket tool to do pass through anyway. And the reason we don't recommend it is they simply don't work most of the time. We end up actually trying to pick up the pieces for people and actually selling them something like a Actia, Bosch or Cardat pass-through tool that actually works with the manufacturer, that's actually approved. Make sure that it's user-friendly, and make sure also that the subscription doesn't cost a fortune, because there's many tools out there on the market now which you buy it has 3 years software free. Sounds great, sounds fantastic, till you run out of those 3 years. And what do they say to you? After those 3 years, it's more expensive to resubscribe to the software software than it is to buy a new tool. So you end up throwing that tool in the bin, which is a complete waste of time, which is what the business model seems to be, particularly of a lot of Chinese manufacturers at the moment. So get a tool that's stable, that's well developed, and also the other side of it is ask people who use the tool what the technical support's like on that tool. Can they get hold of anybody? Because I hear so many examples. I've bought this tool. We're having to ring your business, Maverick, back to try and support this tool because the so-called support team from the manufacturer does not answer the phone at all. Currently at Maverick, we are recommending people with the basic tool as they come in. A PC-based tool, so you need a laptop for it, is going to be Autocom. And the reason for that is an extremely well-developed tool. You see it under a number of different brand names, but essentially it's actually developed in Europe. It's actually owned by a giant parent company who put all the development money in, and it has fully legal gateway access. Plus, it has all the data systems available on it. Plus, it has numerous gateway unlocks, even for things like Iveco and other bits and pieces. A bit overlooked because obviously, as I said, other people are pushing into the market, claiming this, spending more on marketing and getting a bigger push on their tablet tools, which don't necessarily have the coverage. I'm fortunate because we have all the tools here in this actual workshop, which we test. And I can tell you that most of the time when I'm struggling, I end up getting the Autocom out, plugging it in and actually getting a better result than a lot of the other tools. It's not fast, but it works really, really well. So there's lots of other European brands out there as well. So we've got Bosch, we've got Texa, etc., which are very, very good as well. And the reason these brands tend to be a little bit more expensive is they're actually pretty good. And they've got that European coverage in the depth that you require to do these vehicles. So essentially, it's making sure that you've got a tool that you can work with that not only helps you do the job efficiently, but also helps you learn through the process yourselves. That tool needs to be fully supported and accurately supported with accurate data systems on board as well. And you need to be absolutely confident that that tool is doing the right job. The example would that be, you try and do a DPF regen, it doesn't work, and the tool's telling you that it should be doing a DPF regen. Why is it not doing it? Majority of the time it's the fact that the machine's simply not right. You're not programmed to do it. The vehicle can't do it. Maybe it does a dynamic regen, not a static regen. You need that accurate information to help you move on with your life and your business and to make money. If you're choosing your first diagnostic tool, it's simple. You want something that helps you learn, supports the vehicles you see every day, and doesn't slow you down with complexity. The tools I mentioned give you that right balance from the start. They're reliable, strong enough to grow with you as your skills develop. So if you enjoyed this video, we film every week. We've got hundreds of videos out there on our channel to help you through every aspect of setting up in the aftermarket, through to setting up your OEM tools, training, support, everything else. It's all out there for you to have. If you want to know more about the Autocom product, please click here.